What's up, everybody? This is Bryson Fowler, BossTalks on the Rooftop, Season 8, and we are doing the GoAviation series. We're in the GoAviation hangar, and I have the greatest honor of introducing CEO, President of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce. What's up, baby?
Dr. Fowler, first of all, thank you for being a member of America's oldest black chamber, and thank you for having me in this fly space on this cool podcast.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm gonna start calling myself Dr. Fowler.
Look,
here ain't no doctor.
Look,
hey.
Tell the community gave you your doctorate for being a great person and a good leader.
Man, I'm gonna take that. I love that.
So look,
I love that.
Look, don't ever let them denigrate that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I love that. Now, for those of you that don't know, Harrison Blair is the president and CEO of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce. He is a huge promoter of the black community amongst entrepreneurs, business owners, those who are seeking to become business owners. You want to lock in with the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce because they have a vast variety of resources at their disposal waiting for you to just ask the question. Now, we're going to talk, we're going to get to know them a little bit. We're going to pick up our cigars. We're going to go with the Rose Gold Reserve today. Shout out to our guy, Omar McGee.
We appreciate you.
You know, I'm going to cut it with our straight guillotine cutter from Kingpin Luxury. You go to kingpinluxury.com, pick these up. And of course, I'm going to light it with our Kingpin Luxury torches. Also, you can pick it up at kingpinluxury.com.
We'll just get a nice little crisp going around in a nice orange ring, guys. And after that, we're going to sit back and enjoy it.
Now we have, today we're 105 proof. Woo. It's called Texas Yak. It's out of good old Aviation's personal distillery. So we're going to check them out. We're going to pop the top off and see what that's like.
And look, I'm gonna take my time because
it's a sipping thing.
I'm not much of a drinker myself, but I won't let a fine spirit go to waste if we can help it.
Yeah. You know,
we're just gonna do us a half splash.
I feel you. I ain't even mad at you. Now, what I learned with the heavier proof, you wanna just like how you would retrohale a cigar to get all the nose and everything. Now to take the sting off of a high proof bourbon or cognac, you smell it first. Open up your palate.
I don't know, that's stinging right there.
You got to take that initial sting off, let it breathe a little bit, and then sip.
Look, get your air. It still stings. I feel like I could put that in the car right now.
And drive.
And I mean, I can speed off.
Yeah.
A little jet fuel for you.
Yeah.
Right here in the hangar.
We right here in the hangar. We're drinking the high octane plane fuel.
I don't know how people do this at mixers and keep a good conversation going.
At all.
God bless it.
Hey, so this is my way of luring you into this comfortable state, and really just unbutton your coat, get to talk to me, and tell me a little bit like what transitioned you into becoming the president and CEO of Dallas Chamber of Commerce.
So this is one of those cool, lucky stories that really worked out in my favor. People say God really looks out. He really dispatches his angels about you. Make sure your toe doesn't strike a stone.
Right.
It's kind of one of those stories for me where I was working at Papados. I had graduated from Texas State. I had a master's in political science. I had an undergrad degree from Prairie View in political science, but nobody was hiring at that time. We came out of high school and they were telling us that our job prospects were going to be terrible. So this was kind of the economy that I came out of grad school in. And one of my dad's friends saw me working at Papados and he said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I said, this is the only job I could find.
Right.
So he scooped me up and took me to a Black Chamber event. And it was my very first Black Chamber event. I'd never heard of the Black Chamber. I knew nothing of it. I might have been all of 25 years old. And I'm sitting at this event called the Quest for Success, which is an award that a business or a nonprofit gets at the chamber
Right.
if you are a business that's lifting as you climb.
And that's one of your guys' biggest galas
It's
that
one
you
of the
have.
it's one of the biggest events that we have each year.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this program. I can't remember the host's name. He's a black news anchor from WFAA, longtime host. And I was just kind of starstruck by all the leaders, the stuff that they were doing in community, the way they led, and the way the chamber really took care of making sure somebody preserved the history. I love history.
Right.
So this same friend of my dad took me to a board meeting next.
Right.
Now, he didn't tell me what we were doing there, what my purpose was, but somewhere in the meeting they said, "Hey, raise your hand." I raised my hand and they said, "Say aye." I said aye. And I said, "What just happened?" They said, "Congratulations, you're now the youngest board member of the oldest black chamber in the nation."
Oh, wow.
So they gave me a special mission. They sent me to the Dallas Public Library. And shout out to the Dallas Public Library. The 7th floor has more files than you can shake a stick at on every black American and really every major Dallas site that you want to know. And I went through all of these boxes of information and I learned about the programs the chamber really pushed through our community.
Right.
And as America's first black chamber, there were no other chambers that served black people at that time. So every region in Dallas or in every region in North Texas would come to our chamber for support if you were a black person and looking for resources to grow a business.
Right.
So there's no internet back then. You had a newspaper maybe, and maybe if you were lucky, you had a black free press that could help you in some way.
Right.
So these organizations started kind of out of that space, and I felt a sense of duty to try to help find a new president because at the time the chamber hadn't had a chief executive that had been solidly in the role for more than a year, I think in like a decade. So nothing bad had happened. There was no funny business. The Chamber of Commerce is kind of innocuous.
Right.
Nobody knows what a chamber really does.
Right.
But to me, that meant a chamber can do anything.
Right.
So I tried to give this job to maybe 4 or 5 of my friends who I thought were really great leaders, and they were just uninterested. People who are much more seasoned than me, people who are much smarter than me, people who've raised way more money than I could have dreamed of at the time.
Right.
But nobody would take the job. So after the 3rd time of trying over 2 years, I said, well, if nobody applies, I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Right.
And as shocked and scared as I was, they called me and said, "Hey, you got the job." So, and the chairman at the time called me in kind of like a dramatic fashion. He was getting on a plane to Vegas and he was like, "Hey, I just want you to know it's going to be you. I'll call you when I land." So I'm tripping out. I'm gasping for air. It's a big opportunity to me, but I soon discovered that nobody else in the world thought that it was a big deal. Nobody else cared because they didn't know what a chamber could do.
So that means it's more important. It matters to you.
Look, nobody but my board. So we were huddled up trying to figure out ways we could really move the needle and move the organization forward. And when I started, I think we had 50 due-paying members, and today we have over 950 plus members.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like you have invested in us and made a way for a young leader like me. When y'all decided to sign up and get your membership, you said, "Hey, not only do we know we need this organization, this is our table,
Right.
but that dude, we need to support him. We need to make sure he also is doing well in the job."
Absolutely.
So I owe a lot of our success to leaders like you who were crazy enough to jump out in business on your own.
Yeah.
And you taking all the risks. You were providing for people and their families, and you still made a little room in your budget for the chamber. You said, "There you go."
Yeah.
So
it's there.
So
it's an annual membership, guys. So look, on this side, when we first joined the chamber, I really seeked it out, and I was like, dang, I'm be honest, like I was looking for different chambers to get involved with, and the Dallas Black Chamber just like popped out to me. I was like, all right, cool. And then your board reached out to me and was like, hey, because this is during COVID time, and everything was shut down. I was like, well, I'm trying to get my business out there. I'm trying to promote the roofing business. I had just took over the roofing business, and we just kicked it off a little over or under 5 years ago, I guess, at this point.
Wow.
And you guys was just so welcoming, right? And not knowing the history behind who you guys were, not knowing the history behind the chamber, I knew it was a big thing back in the Gap. I know it's a big thing now. And then just seeing like how you guys repumped new blood into it, as well as ingratiating the traditions of it. So that's from me look on the outside looking in. You know what I mean? Now it may be crazy from the inside looking out, but that's what I see. And so just the experiences that I've gotten, the support that I've gotten, that's why I'm like, man, I'm always like, hey, go Dallas Black Chamber.
You heard it here first.
Give them at least a call. Give them at least a call. See what else what they have for you, and then take what you can, and because it's not just a taking. It's we're here to support you as well as be a pillar within our community. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, shoot. What else can the chamber do for us?
Oh man, so that's a great question because our chamber is unique in some respects. And one of those important differences is that most chambers are going to offer you a standard service box offering. Whatever's in this box, this is what you get. Anything else is outside of our mission. We might call that mission creep. But what I know as a digital native in the 21st century is that we live in the time of an iPhone or an Android phone, whichever you like. You can push a button and make that phone do something new.
Right.
You can download an app and make it do something new. So organizations have to be as flexible and as functional as an iPhone. And it's got to be as easy to use as pressing the app icon and getting whatever it is you need in a few easy clicks and steps. So what we do is we download new opportunities and new features. If people are talking about digital employees, then the first thing we're going to do is get us a digital employee, which let me tell you, a digital employee is insane. If you've never seen one at work, just look, set it up on your computer, go to bed and wake up the next day and look at the automation line that you set up and watch what happens. That's insane. Or if you've never been able to walk into a bank or feel comfortable to go and seek out those donors and those loan institutions that really want to help you, then the chamber is here to help you do that. If you've never heard of a community development funding institution or a CDFI, but you're looking for funding for your business, that's an entirely different type of bank. Or if you never used a credit union for any reason, which is kind of like a membership organization, like a chamber, all of these things are now available to you. But I think the most important feature and skill that's overlooked at a chamber in general that people always leave on the table is relationship building.
Right.
Think of all of the skills and talents that AI is snatching away from the market. Talents and skills people have worked their entire lives to build and really craft.
Right.
And now a machine can do it in minutes, which you took months to do.
Right. Absolutely.
So, but what
cheaper.
But what can they not fake? AI is not signing the contract yet. AI is not networking and making those relationships to say, hey, I want to do a contract with Fowler Roofing and Construction. I only want to work with them because of something they did at this event or something that they helped the community with, or I saw them in a certain light and I want to work with people with that kind of character.
Right.
We help build those kinds of relationships. And a good example for us is I had a Nigerian-born app developer who came to us during the pandemic, and he had developed all these apps, and he really built a bank online for Nigeria. But here in the States, without all the proper paperwork, everywhere he would go, people would kind of take a piece of his application and make $1 million with it. He came to the chamber in desperation.
Right.
You know, I'll go to the Black Chamber to see if maybe they've got something. I don't know. Most Black chambers are, kind of small, and they don't necessarily have great relationships with corporates or venture capitalists.
Right.
And within 2 years of us meeting him and really using some of his technology, he was in Austin getting funded. And now he just sold a business for like $50 million.
Man.
And since it's a publicly traded company he sold to, he now gets to keep all the profits for like the first, I think, 4 or 5 years of sales from that company. And then they gave him a nice cushy job to just make sure that the transition goes through nicely.
Man, and see, that's the key, is like an exit strategy, right? And so it's not even just an exit strategy, it's a retirement building. So like when you get into this entrepreneurial world, you got to have a strategy in like, what does it look like when you don't work anymore? When you're not, when you're no longer doing the mundane 9 to 5 grind, what does that look like for you in your entrepreneur world? And like how you just set him up to have a residual payout and then be on staff as a consultant.
So, but and let me also make a real important distinction. The gentleman who sold his company, he grinded it out.
Right.
Entrepreneurship or nonprofit leadership is never gonna be an easy road. If
Right.
you chose it, you just chose kind of like a doctor's oath. You chose a responsibility. Not everybody in capitalism takes that oath seriously.
Right.
But I do understand that, that person did all that work. They moved the company. They were willing to come to events and take the risk. We might have cheered them on, and I might have pushed them toward a resource they said they needed. We may have helped them clarify a vision,
Right.
but that leader did the work.
Right.
And I think that's an important distinction because people wonder, what value do I get out of the chamber? And a chamber is really like a gym membership. If you don't use the weights, if you don't get on the machines or come do Pilates, you're not going to see the gains.
Right.
And that's something that we've learned in the last 3 years to really make sure members know. And that was something I didn't understand at first. You really access the chamber through events. We do something like 300 different events a year.
Right.
So virtually every day there's like 2 or 3 somethings happening at the chamber that, if it's not a federal holiday, we're probably doing something.
Right.
So people come to these events. And also, if you want to get access to me or my staff or my board, events are the easiest way. Everybody's sending emails. And the thing I learned about emails is emails are other people's wishes and intentions for you.
Right.
You need to look at them. You need to check them periodically. But really, if you want to catch somebody and you want to connect with them, if you want to do that contract kind of dance where you might actually walk away with value, you got to go and connect with them. And that means I want you to come to the event. So if you had a hard time reaching me, you have my cell phone number, you've been calling me, everybody calls a cell phone.
Right.
But do you come to the event? Do you invest?
Do you get in the face?
You
Do
do
you
that.
get in front of me?
You do that, I'm coming to get on the podcast. I'm running to come get on the podcast. When I get a member like you, I see you in community. I see you doing things in community for other people. I see you at chamber events. We're connected. So it makes it a lot easier when you call. I know exactly who I'm talking to, and I know that we're going to go make some impact together.
Right.
And that's exciting for me.
Right. And see, and then for our love of this, of the leaf.
But don't tell the doctor, though. Don't tell the insurance. Trump's already trying to take my insurance. Don't tell anybody, okay?
But I love being a brother of the leaf. We were able to connect and reconnect and stay in front of each other's faces and always be like passing ships. And then, able to reconnect on the podcast. And it was nothing for you to say, yes, you could have been like, I ain't got no time, but you was like, Doc, I got something for you.
See, some people play golf. This is a great pastime. And I got one of my first big job offers leaving Prairie View in a cigar lounge.
Yeah.
A major oil company was sitting there and he was looking at me, eyeing this candela leaf, and he said, young man, what do you do? We got to talking, and Houston's an oil town, and he made me an offer right then and right there. Now, I didn't take it because oil and gas at the time was not my thing. I know you're shaking your head like you lost the money. What are you doing? Dopey, take the money. But
What are you doing? We're in Texas.
What are you doing? So
Oil money.
But it was for me that underscored the level of opportunity because who has this kind of disposable income? Who has time to sit and think and ponder, read the newspaper and really take in the world events,
Right.
or spend time doing what I think is really important, connecting with people.
Right. And see, I think that's what a lot of times a lot of entrepreneurs get in this space where they grind, but they're forgetting that they got to connect with the people. Like, it's great that you're a bridge builder, but if don't nobody know you, who cares? Who wants you to build the bridge? You don't know? Well, I got somebody that you can talk to that may have a project for you that wants you to build a bridge because you're the best bridge builder that I know. You know what I mean? So,
Hey, I appreciate
and so the true testament to you gotta connect, you gotta network, you gotta get re-engaged within these spaces, like within the organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce, and see what it's all about, because it's not just really, okay, I get in the chamber, now what? It's like, okay, well, start talking to people.
And come to events. And here's another underutilized piece of chamber infrastructure that people typically don't ask for: data. A chamber knows all kinds of stuff. We know the information on the wire. I know the contracts that are coming through people's emails. I know what government opportunities exist for small businesses or private industry opportunities that people oftentimes in chambers like ours might kind of skip. They like to be in the public space because there's at least a perception of fairness.
Right.
But now we're also helping businesses play in some of these private sector spaces. Everybody was bemoaning the city's, not putting too much MWBE focus back in the day into the K. Bailey Hutchinson redevelopment. That was going to be like a $3 or $4 billion project.
Absolutely.
But an even bigger project was Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
$6 billion.
Huge.
And nobody was complaining or bemoaning the lack of minority engagement in a contract like that, or black, for me and specifically for us,
Right.
black business engagement in a contract like that.
Right.
So I'm trying to push those opportunities toward businesses, and we're also trying to get people to look at new blue ocean opportunities that people are not necessarily flocking to because they don't see the market. But if you see the vision, let us help you draw up a plan so we can go attack that.
Right. And so what is it like for you with getting your team engaged in opening up different events and trying to re-engage the members to go out and promote to new members?
So a lot of it is like leading a big organization or corporation. Most times a nonprofit is seen as having a small staff, but the organization's impact can be felt when you augment the level of talent you have by looking at volunteers, which are your board members, which are sometimes in some nonprofits, staff. We're lucky and blessed to have full-time staff that gets paid their benefits, so it makes it a lot easier to get more done. But we rely a lot on volunteers and also members. And I'm learning now that whenever you're giving messaging from the top down, you want to make sure you're saying it in every particular sector that you're in, every department, every member meeting. It's working when you start to hear it come back to you.
Right.
And so that's how I started to see members really get excited. But the truth is, in nonprofit space also, this is a key separation to me between business leaders and nonprofit leaders. If you're a nonprofit leader, you have to listen to everybody in a 360. Or as Joan Gary, one of my nonprofit heroes, may say, leading in 3D.
Right.
You can't make any decision alone.
Right.
I have to go to members before I think about a big infrastructure project or a big piece of legislation that may impact everybody. Then I got to go to all the elected officials. Then I got to go talk to the people who we know don't agree.
Right.
They may have something valid to say today. Broke clock is right at least twice a day.
Right.
I got to go talk to.
Say that again.
A broke
Say it
clock
again.
is right twice a day. You can put
At least. At least.
So, there are a lot of different constituencies that you have to really listen to before you make a decision. And even staff. Staff comes to take a pay cut and work in nonprofit land because they want to have a voice on whatever that major issue is that you're working on. And I find that every staff person I've had at the chamber, of which there have been many different staff members, fellowshippers, interns that have passed through, they all get to put their fingerprints on the events or on policy decisions. There's no decision that's too big or too small for an intern.
Absolutely.
If you come intern at the chamber, let me tell you now, you will be filing envelopes, you will be answering phone calls, but you also will be out at events. You might get to meet the president of, the United States, and the tickets got to see that on her first year.
Yeah.
We walked into a meeting with Joe Biden.
Wow.
And so that happened twice. So there are a lot of different ways. And the beauty of a chamber also is it's a great meeting space for just about anybody. If you're a nonprofit, if you're a business person, if you are a civic leader who's engaged, if you're just a community member that's concerned about what's happening in your community with regard to economic development, this is the space that you go into. And enemies, frenemies, partners, everybody comes around the table in a chamber of commerce because they're usually centered in some kind of concentric community where there's a lot of synergy. And for black people, it doesn't matter where you're from in this country or what part of the diaspora you're from, who you love, what ideology politically that you believe in. If you are black and you believe black means American, then this chamber is for you.
Right. Absolutely. So now, with you, what is your next move, like, to progress your brand, the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce brand? What does that look like for Dr. Harrison Blair?
I think that for me, the most important thing is to make real impact. Some people are money motivated, but if you gave me $1 billion, I'm probably going to give it away anyway because I see the good that
Give me
it
a
can
fraction
do.
of that.
Look, so look, let me put that in my when I make it ledger.
Yeah, I got you. Give me a fraction of that. I got ideas to do with it.
But I think that I really live by the adage: if you take care of enough people, you don't have to worry about what you need. Somebody's going to make sure they take care of you.
Absolutely.
It's truly a community, and for me, right now, the biggest thing I like to do is make sure that this chamber is as strong and as sturdy as it could be, and that we also change the way chambers engage with communities and the way people see chambers. Because right now, chambers are these entities that may work with governments, they may work with different parties, and they may help small businesses scale and grow. But I want our chamber to really focus on creating, in a business town like Dallas, a $1 billion company. Nice. Or even, I'd like to compete with Apple. Some people say that's too big of a dream, and that maybe being black in this country is too small. It's not universal enough. And I've had people say to me, Harrison, you're very talented, but when you stop just focusing on black issues, then you'll really make impact. And I have to keep in my mind, in the back of my mind, the idea that if we do good for black people, everybody else will succeed too.
Right.
Because whatever we do changes this entire country.
Absolutely.
There's no America without black people.
Right.
It's just Europe without us.
Yeah, they don't understand that, like, the promotion and propulsion of our culture, our society, is the expand of everyone else. Because we touch on so many different cultures, like, and so many cultures take from us what we create, and they put their own spin to it. And that's why I believe, like, the black and brown community is synonymous in a way. Like, we're going for the same thing. We're going to promote our families. We're trying to have a better way of life, just like those that come from Mexico. They're trying to have a better way of life, which is why they leave their own country and come to this country. So I believe that we have to lock arms and move in a way that we are trying to progress the same thing, whether it is black, if we spearhead it, and it is Latino, and they spearhead it. Like, it's one and the same coin. We're not competing against each other for the same resources. We're collaborating with each other to go and get the resources that we are lacking.
And I think you said something that was key. We are not against any other community. We are simply for black businesses and nonprofits succeeding as best they can.
Absolutely.
And connecting them in a healthy way to other communities. We do a lot of partnership events with the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber, which is the second oldest Hispanic institution of its kind in the United States. And that's based right here in Dallas. They were the first to stand up for our black city manager, T.C. Broadnex. They called the press conference and said, Harrison, will you get the black chamber to come and support with us? They stood with us when we jumped up for Kim, when they should have hired her anyway.
Right.
Trying to bring some outsider in who's going to bleed all the top staff off from the city.
Right.
And then we'd have a shell of the city that we really want in terms of management. So they stood with us when we needed to do that. They also help us put together prime contracts and prime contractors. So if we're making a big contract, or if I want to get a piece of $1 billion contract, or we want to be the project manager on something, we're working with the Hispanic Chamber to make sure, or the Asian contractors, or the Hispanic contractors, or the black contractors, to make sure we put together those cohesive teams. Because we also know God gave his talents to everybody. Right. He spread them out. So every community has something that we need to scale and grow.
Right.
And if we have to start to think about being what it means to just be an American. I want to be identified as who I am, but I'm also an American.
Right.
But look, this blood has been in every war. It's been in every major altercation. It's been in all of the development of this country. And there are other groups here that have been the same, and they feel the same about this country.
Absolutely.
So I'm not telling black people to do anything or feel any way. We don't have any political affiliation or stances in that manner as a C6 and a C3. But I do, my biggest affiliation and the most important thing that we should do is we need to make sure that who we built this chamber for, we actually support black people.
Absolutely. So, how do we connect with you? How do we connect with the Black Chamber? How do we find you?
So you can find me, all my handles are Harrison L. Blair on IG, Facebook. If you still use Facebook, I know it's like the MySpace of our day. And LinkedIn is a big one for the business community. So if you could find us on LinkedIn. And then of course the chamber is Dallas Black Chamber on all of its social handles, including TikTok. So if you want to know more about the chamber, you can also go to our website at dbcc.org.
Absolutely. What'd you think about Cigar?
Man, the sweet cap is very nice. I think it goes very well with this wonderful liquor that you've served here. It's very strong. As you can see, I took a sip of it. It's looking at me and I'm looking at it.
Right,
I don't want to waste it, but I also don't want to waste me.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at it, but let me say this rose gold is stupendous.
All right.
If you know this gentleman.
Yeah.
So look, if you're watching this, I just want you to know you were already getting into heaven, but now you're going to sit on the right side of Jesus because this is blessed.
See, wow.
I need to know, can I order this online, or which lounge do I need to go to get these on reserve? Rose Gold Reserve.
RoseGoldReserve.com. So, guys, remember, like, subscribe, share the channel. And remember, storms don't last, but your home should. Peace. Two fingers.